Hey, everyone. Oh yeah, we didn't loosen this at all. I suck. We get Invisigal butting in. This video comes from the past. See, that right there, that right there. Hey everyone, I know, kind of weird. We're gonna be trying something a little new today because I want to do some different type of footage here, definitely in the summer. So, trying to see if I can get some different kind of POV. I'm sure some of you are saying, "Oh, why don't you just do this with the GoPro? Like, wouldn't that be so much better, so much easier?" Partially, yes, but as I've routinely found out during my Project DDART projects, you know, its battery life is actually shocking. It's terrible. So I'm gonna use one of my older cameras, smaller cameras, to see if I can't get some interesting POV. And also, I'm kind of concerned if the GoPro can deal with the dynamic range that's in the shot, because we have this relatively dark car, but then we have the relatively bright outside. So I want to see if my Canon M50, actually one of my OG cameras, can do a better job. I know it can do a better job on battery life. Ready, everyone? So, from what it looks like, although the only unfortunate thing is that, thank you, Kia K5. The only unfortunate thing is that with the M50, it can only record 29 minutes at a time, because one of those, it was before they got rid of the, I think it was the Euro restriction on not having more than 29 minutes and 59 seconds recordable at a time. So, that's that. But the angle looks pretty good. The angle looks pretty good from what I saw. Let me turn my lights on. But yeah, the angle looks pretty good, so just got to get into the left-hand lane here. I don't think I can, because that RAV4 is actually in my way. So, like I said, I think the angle looks pretty good. And the dynamic range, it's doing a good job with that. There's a car without their lights on. That's cringe. It's not that way. It's a Prius. Alright, good. So we're kind of going on an adventure in the city. So far, I mean, there hasn't really been any police, so that's good. I really wish you'd give me a little more room there, forehead. But yeah, so one of my main concerns with this is the Prius. What are you doing? One of my main concerns right now, to be honest, is the potential of getting pulled over. Just because, okay, that's great. Is because, you know, does it sort of obstruct? Kind of. But at the same time, I've had a couple people in the back seat before. You're cringe, Corolla. I've had people like in the middle seat before, and that's like, my camera's actually less of an obstruction than their head and shoulders. So honestly, that would be my argument, is like, that's no more obstructing. It's actually less obstructing than having a whole person back there. But anyway, what I also like about it is I don't think you can really see the passenger side here very well. So I can have my R7. Oh my God, that is a whole train coming this way. I can put my R7 in the passenger footwell here, also on a tripod, have it face towards me with the actual mic, because that's where I'd get the audio from, and have a really close-up view. And then I could leave the M50 back there. I could leave the M50 back there as a secondary view, so you guys can actually see out and see me driving and all that stuff. So I actually really rather like it. It's a pretty elegant solution. Well, sort of. The tripod is kind of a mess, but as far as like using, I don't think you guys can see it, which would also be nice. I don't think you can. My lanyard that holds the camera on, I strapped that to, I strapped that to the pillar where the headrest inserts into the seat back. So And there were 1 or 2 times where I took a corner relatively hard and the camera didn't move. So I'm really rather pleased by that as well, because that was one of my other main concerns, is if I brake hard or turn hard for whatever reason, if the camera's going to fall over. Hence why I'm using my M50 rather than, okay, good, hate manhole covers, driving over them at least. What happened to that Jag? That's just so Top Gear. But anyway, yeah, that was one of my main concerns and why I'm using the M50, because my R7 is now my good camera, is my main camera. So I'm not too worried. The M50, don't get me wrong, is not cheap even in today's time, but it's a lot cheaper than my R7. My R7 I gotta use for everything. It's my better photography camera, it's my vastly better videography camera. But the M50 still does a very, very good job even in 2025, especially as a B camera in this circumstance. So, yeah, like I'm saying, I'm hoping the dynamic range is good enough on it that you guys can sort of see what's going on and see outside, but also see inside the cabin and what I'm doing. So, I believe I need because I think it's actually a 2-lane turn up here. I always forget. Because it doesn't look like it'd be a 2-lane turn. It is a 2-lane turn. Damn it. I need the right lane because I got to get back on the highway. And I'm pretty sure, yep, this Tahoe's turning with me. That's annoying. Hopefully this Buick up here, I think it's an Envision. Yep, they're slowing down enough. Because I gotta tuck in behind this Tahoe so I can get into the right-hand lane. I just gotta wait for the the solid white line to end. We're just gonna do that as it's broken up, and then we're gonna do that. Then there we go. Like I said, I always forget because you wouldn't think that it's a double turn because it looks very tight when you're coming up to it, but it is actually a double left-hand turn. But yeah, so like I'm saying, the only real drawback is the fact that I can turn my headlights off now. The only real drawback is the fact that you can only record for 29 minutes and 59 seconds. So that's really the only drawback. That's where the R7 would actually be a lot better because it doesn't have that limit. Which I think it might have been the first Canon camera to not have that limit. I don't really remember, but yeah. I do have to say, a camcorder would also be good there because I don't really need like 4K or anything, but I know it wouldn't exactly be the highest quality, but a camcorder's form factor might also be better for obstructing less of my view. But yeah, so far, I'm very pleased with that solution. That would be the only drawback potentially with the camcorder is its form factor, because you get lanyards on a camcorder, of course you do, but there's a chance, because it's more, where that's a brick, right, my M50, the camcorder is comparatively more of a pole, more of like a 2x4 type situation. I'm pretty sure that very specifically because of how the M50 is shaped, it's holding up very well with the lanyard being attached to the headrest here. A camcorder might not do as well because it might just get pulled to one side or the other. Because my God, all the trash and a bucket, Jesus. A camcorder might not do as well because it's more of a rectangle than a square, so it might just get pulled to one side or the other. Let's get up to speed a little bit here because everyone does at least 55 at a minimum. Okay, there's no one immediately behind. Good. Like I said, everyone does 55 at a minimum. Pretty much everybody does 65 here. But yeah, so like I said, I actually really like that as a solution. I would be a little worried that it would still fall over during spirited driving. But I'm very, very pleased with this as a solution. It's a little tight here. So the other reason why it's staying up, I'm sure some of you are wondering, is that I just straight up belted it in with my seatbelt. So, and that was why, and that was sort of, because I belted it in, that's why I needed to use the lanyard on the camera and again attach it to the headrest here, because the seatbelt is trying to pull it back towards itself, right? It's trying to hold, it's thinking it's an occupant, obviously. So in order to keep the camera upright and prevent it from falling back, especially under like hard acceleration, dart can't, I'll admit, especially with my car being stock, it can't accelerate that hard, but it'll accelerate hard enough that it would throw the camera back. So in order to prevent that, once again, the lanyard was entirely necessary. Okay, the Expedition's not actually getting over. That's interesting. Going to fourth here. It was actually a really nice drive to the convention center. This Escape is going way too fast. But yeah, like I was saying, really nice drive to the convention center. Sunday, not a lot of traffic. Although, as I keep telling my parents, with Colorado and the way that it is, and honestly how stupidly some of the highways are designed, I just don't trust anywhere anymore. At all. Just at all. Colorado figures out a way to have traffic when there shouldn't be traffic. The weekends usually aren't so bad, I'll admit, but like, again, 3 p.m. on like a Wednesday, there'll be traffic closer towards the airport, or, you know, even around here, and it's like, why is there traffic? Shouldn't most of you be at work? I have the excuse of working a graveyard shift, so it's like there can't be that many people that have a graveyard shift. Like, come on now. That truck is mobile wash. Yeah, well, you're washing the road because you're actively like leaking something, and he's eating a burger. Ah, son. But yeah, so like I really hope that this goes well, because I'd love to do, even though gas is just idiotically expensive now, I'd love to do more talks with you guys while I'm in the car, like on some carlosophy type stuff. If any of you have read those articles, they're really a treat. I'd love to do that, because this is sort of like that dude in blue type. And I'd love, like I said, I'd love to do that type of conversation with you guys where I'm just driving around, having fun. Having as much fun as I can with Colorado traffic, I suppose I should say. But yeah. And it would also give me a good opportunity to show you guys, to showcase to you guys some like Colorado roads. Well, especially if when we do the Car Enthusiast Guide to Colorado, we go find some good driving roads. It'd be good to have that as a way of having POV, or at least one form of POV. I wonder if they make car tripods that can go over the transmission tunnel, or because my car's front-wheel drive, really the sort of exhaust tunnel as it really is. I wonder if that's a thing. Let me get from behind this person. I don't want to follow them that closely, but they're also going just a little bit too slowly for my liking. I suppose this would be a half-decent time to talk to you guys about, I do want to do a dedicated video on this, but for the time being, I really need to get past that Accord, so I can get back over and stop like hogging the left lane here. But I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about the maintenance on my car, because I know I got my car in 2024, December, and then I didn't really do a lot of videos on the car afterwards, pretty much the entirety of 2025. And so, the reason for that is because I took a promotion at my part-time job to become a trainer, and then that made me full-time. And, so 5 days a week, I think I was in basically like Monday to Friday, or I think I was, maybe not Monday to Friday. I know I was in on the weekends one way or another. I think it was Saturday and Sunday. Excuse me. And it's a manual labor job, and, you can see me. I'm actually surprisingly strong now, even though I don't look it. But man, when you're as light and as small as I am, those heavy ass boxes, I swear it takes more energy for me to lift it, because it's like how they say an ant can lift like 2 times its own body weight. I can't lift 2 times my own body weight, but because my body weight is very low, I'm lifting a greater percentage of my body weight the heavier and heavier box I attempt to lift. So, an 80-pound box is, no word of a lie, about 80% of my body weight. I'm damn near lifting myself. And then 100-pound boxes, I'm basically lifting myself. And so that takes a lot of energy. And then I help a lot of the people in my department, just because when I started, I could barely lift 30 pounds, let alone 50, 60, that sort of power creep. And you can put, people injure themselves all the time in the gym. We know this. And so, and some of the people that I work with, they're older, right? And so I don't want them getting injured, especially because they're older. It's going to take them longer to recover. So I help them out. But my God, is it tiring, dude. Not necessarily emotionally / mentally tiring, although it definitely was that when I was working 5 days a week because of the nonsense my job was pulling. But physically tiring, just because I get easily over 10,000 steps a day. Now I'm back to part-time, 3 days a week, that sort of thing. That's not going to be the case in April because of a bill that came up. But yeah, well over 10,000 steps, seldom staying still anywhere. Extremely tiring. So that's why there really wasn't a lot of videos last year, just because I was constantly tired. And I sleep. I make sure I sleep as much as I can. And it still just wasn't enough. And that's that's part of the reason I felt bad for one of the guys in another department when I was back in that department at the time. I felt bad for him because he was new and kind of struggling. And I had been there for a little while and I'd learned a lot. I'm like, let me become a trainer, kind of help him out. Then I wasn't even in that department anyway. Hated that. But yeah, so to make a long story short, I had the hubris of thinking, because I'll do peak to get this car, where in my peak, things, that was our really busy time for the year. I was like, I already did that, and now it's winding down. Yeah, I can handle 5 days a week and do Cody's Car Conundrum as good as I ever did it before. I was wrong. I was completely wrong, and I apologize to you guys for that. I was just completely and utterly wrong. And so, realized that going into peak of last year rather than peak of 2024, and I was like, I just can't do it. I can't manage it. I am incapable of that. So I really got humbled the entirety of last year. And so that's why there's been a lot more videos now. Because doing that 5 days a week thing has really solidified in my mind, I do not want to do that as a career. I mean, don't get paid enough for that anyway, but it's like, yeah, no. It really just emboldened my love and desire to make CCC what I do as a career. And so all the various things that I do in CCC. And then, as I say, I got humbled and was like, yeah, no, can't manage it. So that's why there's been a lot more videos, and are going to be a lot more videos. I think as you guys have been seeing, 2 times a week there's been video. It's going to ramp up a little bit as much as I can manage, but 2 video game videos a week at a minimum is what I'm going to do. Project DDART has been every Saturday. I'm going to try to continue to make it every Saturday, but it's going to be a bit difficult because right now it's been doing all my projects, right? Doing all the parts that I bought with the benefit, and that was the one benefit of working 5 days a week as I was. Are you going to get over Grand Cherokee? Anyway, that was the one benefit of working 5 days a week the way that I was, is that I had money and that I had essentially like a $200 to $300 surplus that I could use to buy car parts for Xavier. And so that was brilliant. That was really the one benefit of that I didn't expect to happen, was that I had extra money for car parts. And I bought a lot of car parts because I wanted it. I made sure to do maintenance as well. Probably not as much as I should have, but there was this one video by this YouTube channel called Throttle where I think the guy over that channel, Over the Throttle brand, bought his son a 1998 Dodge Neon. I think you guys may know of that video. And they already bought all the parts for it. And in the back of my mind, I wanted to do that for Xavier. I really did. But I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think, especially with the amount of pay that I get and other expenses, I didn't think I was going to be able to manage that. But through a variety of factors, me being too tired and some other things, I did manage it. I genuinely did manage to get not all the parts I wanted for my car, but a lot of the parts that I wanted for my car. And we've been installing them since I've been down to 3 days. Because, again, my guy, you guys, this is my daily. I can't afford to Uber in. I live close enough to the job, but it's the $30 these days that I spend a week on gas is way better than the $30 I spend in a day to get to and from work. And I don't live far from work at all. So when I figured that out, when I was in 2024, how much I was spending, how much it was taking out of my paycheck, I was like, no, we got to get a car now. Because even for as much as some maintenance things can be, once you do some of the major things like what happened with me recently, if you just work hard enough and are financially disciplined, you make your money up like that. So, for me, it was like even with maintenance, once you get that done, it's done. You don't have to worry about it for a long time, and you make your money back. Whereas with Uber and Lyft or whatever, you're not making your money back. That's a constant expense, and it's dumb. So, I wasn't best pleased with that. So, here we are. But anyway, I think I'm going to cut the video off here because we're pretty close. Grab me something to eat. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, enjoyed this new perspective. Hopefully this will give me the opportunity to do new videos going forward. New perspectives, different types of videos, that sort of thing. But in any case, if you all enjoyed, and I hope you did, please make sure to like, comment, share, and consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Please make sure you hit the little notification bell and then all notifications. That way you're notified every time I upload. I will see you all next time in another Project D Dart video.